week I was talking about Armin Navabi showed a video of some Iranian shopping mall, and I said, "Oh, they look really good. Like they look very civilized." And then I made a under my breath kind of comment, which was like, "Oh, Pakistan doesn't look that civilized." And I know, Armin, you probably also felt a bit uncomfortable with that comment, which I understand and I appreciate, that you don't want to call anyone uncivilized or something. But I would say
no. Let me correct.
Okay.
I don't mind saying that they're less civilized, as long. But I think that if you're gonna make such a comment, we have to also follow up by saying
that they're not incapable.
That the reasons are poverty, culture, and it's not innate. It's not biological. It's not genetical.
I agree.
So I think that clarification is always needed.
That was good. Had it come to that, or probably no, it's good that you said that, because any culture that you look at, and if we go by the typical definition of civilization, back when the Indians and Chinese were civilized, or Sumerians were civilized, the rest of the world wasn't considered civilized. And then the Romans and the Greeks were considered civilized, and then the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Germans and Gaulish and Anglo-Saxons were considered barbarians, and that's fine because you're comparing that with the immediate surroundings and by the standards of the time. But by today's standards, we wouldn't consider Romans civilized by today's standards. So by today's standards, we're going to look across the board. We're going to look at the Western world. We're going to look at Africa. We're going to look at so many other cultures as well. And we can say that certain civilizations or certain societies are less civilized. And I gave those reasons, and that's not biological. I'm Pakistani as well. I'm capable of being civilized. I'm capable of standing in the queue and driving in my lane. And when I bump into someone, I say, "Oh, I'm sorry," or "Thank you." I don't spit on the street, or at least not when someone's watching me. Or I'm not gonna litter, or like all of those things. These things, when you look at, and I'm only going to talk about Pakistan because I am Pakistani. I'm not going to, and then he tried to trap me by saying, "Oh, do you think Africa?" This is the same question that Arun Ra had this debate with Daniel Akikachu, and then then Arun Ra showed the 10 most livable countries, and they were all Western countries. And then Daniel Akikachu, cheap shot. So you think the Latin Americans and Africans are, less capable or something? And again, Arun Ra was taken aback, but it's like I would have said, well, I'm not going to make specific comments, but I'm only judging by livability standards. And yes, and these are the indicators: Human Development Index, and what the education is, the life expectancy, all these factors involved. Now, yes, there are other countries lacking in that, and that's not to say that they are biologically inferior and they can't create this. And there could be other reasons, colonialism or whatever. There could be whole bunch of reasons why they haven't been able to catch up with the West. So we acknowledge that, but at the end of the day,
Islam has got to do something with that.
Yeah, Islam's got a lot to do with that as well. So, but at the end of the day, the most civilized countries are the Scandinavian countries or the Western countries. We look at it, and America is not. I wouldn't put America in that list, because America has so many these areas where
America is more civilized.
No, holistically, yeah, but it's very fragmented. There are areas which are not that civilized. You could say that this is not civilized. Well, what's that? Skid Row? You don't want to go there, do you?
Here I can tell you this. In Pakistan, there was a time where in that area used to be the most civilized part of the planet.
Yeah, we had Harappa, we had Mohenjo-Daro, we had running water, we had sanitization. By the standards of the time, those parts were great. And then we had the Ganges civilization after the Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa and the Indus Valley civilization. So yeah, that's fine. But this guy got caught up because probably he took it too personally. He took it too personally because he might have thought that, oh, he's calling my father or my grandfather or his ancestors less civilized. Here's the problem with these kind of people. These guys would love someone like Noam Chomsky, who would criticize his own society, America, or George Galloway. These guys are their heroes. They're like, yeah, look, America's evil. Yeah, we are mass murderers. We are invading countries, blah, blah, blah. They love those people. But when people like that from their own communities say that, like me, that, oh, Pakistan is very uncivilized at the moment, then they're like, oh, that's so racist. Imagine, would anyone say to George Galloway, you're racist and bigoted towards white people? No. They'll say, okay, you make some points that make sense. Yes, that's fine. Would you say anti-Zionist Israelis that who speak up for the Palestinians? Would you call them, hey, you're racist and bigoted towards your own toward Israelis? No, you won't. Or would you call them anti-Semites? No, you won't. These guys won't. And as a rule of thumb, you would not say that. And being a Pakistani and also partially Indian as well, you can call that. I take more liberty in saying that, okay, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, these countries are lagging. Yes, they might be able to catch up, and a part of making them catch up with the rest of the world is to criticize, identify, point out these problems, and hope that people will listen to you, or people will think about these things and they'll improve on it. So I mean, imagine that. Look at this. Can you show me this anywhere in? Can you show me this anywhere in a Western country, like where you look at these? Okay, what okay, this is probably not the worst one. Look, traffic in India and Pakistan is described as organized chaos. I mean, anyone who can drive in these places is, every time when I went back to Pakistan, every time I had an accident, because you're not used to it. Even though I did learn I did get my first license there in Pakistan, but I didn't stay. I only drove there for about 6 months or so. But then you get used to it. But then when you go from here and you go back and you drive a car there, I guarantee you're going to have an accident. So anyway,
would you say India is more civilized than Pakistan?
Well, it's difficult to say, because there would obviously be pockets. There would be areas where India is definitely doing far better than on average. Well, on average, India will have a higher score, but I wouldn't put that in the same category as the West, of course. And I would put China slightly higher, but again, that's a totally different kind of a totalitarian kind of world. So I would take less civilized India than more totalitarian, by force civilized China.
So you think Iran is more civilized than Pakistan?
Well, look, I don't know much about that. I just made a, like as I said, I just made that passing comment by just looking at one particular video. But it does somehow look like that there's more awareness in Iran. First of all, they are knowing, at least they're educated enough that the condition they're in, they shouldn't be in that condition. They're doing something very actively to change that. So that's definitely a plus. But also, I think by looking at some traffic videos or whatever, I think they probably look more civilized. But again, I don't know. I don't know much about that.
But you would also agree that Iran is less civilized than Europe, for most European countries.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's so much they need to catch up on. Yeah,
I think that's a fair point. I mean, these are not. I mean, okay. So, for example, right now, Iraq is less civilized than most European countries, right? But there used to be a time where most of Europe was less civilized than Iraq.
I said that,
yeah. So, and it can't be innate if it used to be the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like as I said, like Persia, secularism, Cyrus the Great at that time. We had running water in Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, which is like going as far back as 1500 BCE. So that's quite amazing. At that point, if other people had known that there is a city like Harappa where you have a bathroom on the top floor and you can actually poop, and then it just goes out the city, without electric pumps, you would want to live there. I wouldn't want to live in a place where like I have to do poop. What was that Medan called, where the wives of the Prophet used to go? I forgot what it's called. They used to go and poop on the fields, in the fields. Yeah. Anyway, I think let's move on.
Get my best-selling book, Why There Is No God, for free. Click on the link for it in the description.